Hey friends, welcome to Cinematic Scripture, where we explore the Bible through film. I'm your host Kyle Harless, and in each episode I use storytelling techniques to help you understand the Bible and to start conversations about faith, culture, and storytelling. Today we're journeying back to the beginning, Genesis 1. Let's roll film. Alright, so did you know that roughly 43% of the Bible is narrative? That's right, close to half the Bible is written in narrative or story form. So when we talk about using story techniques to help us understand the Bible, we're not pushing a concept onto the text, rather we are allowing the text to speak freely, allowing it to communicate its story to us. Now to understand any story, you have to start at the beginning. If you miss the beginning, you're not going to understand what's happening. I remember I was 17, I had a knee injury, blew out my ACL, and it was going to be like a 6-month recovery. Well, my recovery time after surgery fell right when Return of the King, Lord of the Rings Return of the King, was coming to theaters. And I really wanted to see it, but my parents were concerned about me going to see this movie with the recovery I had on my knee, so my dad offered to go with me. Cool, right? I enjoy hanging out with my dad, but he had not seen Fellowship of the Ring or The Two Towers, so I had him sit down and watch the first two movies so he could understand the context for Return of the King. And my point is that you need to understand the beginning of the story to even understand the story. So with that in mind, we're going to go over the next few videos and look at the beginning of the story, specifically Genesis 1 through 3, so we can understand the story that we're a part of. So we want to focus mainly on character, setting, and plot to help us understand the story, but we're also going to address themes, symbols, and foreshadowing as they appear. Are you ready? Great, let's dive in. So, every cinematic masterpiece begins with a single frame, and so too does our existence begin with a singular divine act. The Genesis that's recounted in ancient texts serves as the foundational script for the most epic saga ever told. It's the grand narrative of our existence, commencing with a solitary act of divine creation. So let's talk about the account of creation, okay? So at the start, there's nothing. It's just this massive empty space. Darkness is everywhere, and the only sound was the soft lapping of unformed waters against each other. But within this emptiness, there's a divine presence that's stirred. The Spirit of God, a breath of life and energy, moves over the waters, carrying the potential for everything that's to come. God speaks. His voice, a powerful command that echoes through the void, and it creates light. And this bright energy cuts through the darkness. It pushes the darkness away, and God saw the light and saw that it was good, and he separated it from darkness, and he called the light day and the darkness night, and there was evening and there was morning the first day. On the second day, God has turned his attention to the messy waters. With a word, he creates a vast expanse, a dome that separates the waters from above from the waters that are below. He calls this expanse sky, and it marks a boundary between the earthly and heavenly realms. The third day saw the gathering of the waters below the sky into one place. The dry ground that appeared God called land, and the gathered waters he called seas. But God didn't stop there. He commanded the earth to bring forth vegetation, such as grass, herbs, and fruit-bearing trees, each according to its kind. And the once barren land was now full of life, a green carpet, if you will. Now stop there. This imagery of God moving the waters and dry ground appearing, it's important. It's important to remember because it'll be a symbol that's used throughout Scripture going forward. Now on the fourth day, God decorates the sky with celestial bodies. He creates the sun, a fireball that would govern the day, and the moon, a softer light to rule the night. He also scattered countless stars across the expanse. Their twinkling light, a sign of the vastness of his creation. The heavenly bodies would serve as markers of time, separating day from night and marking the seasons and the years. The fifth day saw the creation of life within the waters and the skies. God commands the waters to be full of living creatures, fish, sea monsters, all sorts of marine life, and he also filled the sky with birds, their wings carrying them across the expanse. On the sixth day, God's creative work has reached its peak. He populates the land with different animals such as livestock, creepy things, and wild beasts, each according to its kind. But God wasn't finished yet. In his own image, he creates humankind, male and female, imbued with his own spirit and given control over the earth. He blesses them. He tells them to be fruitful and to multiply and to care for his creation. He looked upon all that he made, and he saw that it was very good. Now, God's declaration that his creation is good is important. God actually declares 7 times in this story that his creation is good. The word good is important in the first few chapters of Genesis, but then the symbolism of what is good and what good represents is present throughout the rest of Scripture, and it's important to remember. But the word good, 7 times here in the beginning, and it's going to be important going through the first few chapters. So by the 7th day, God's work was done. On this day, he rests from his labor, setting it apart as a day of rest and reflection. And so this pattern of work and rest is established, and it's a rhythm that would continue throughout the ages. Now, the 7th day of creation stands apart from the first 6 days because God rested on this day. He blessed it and he declared it holy. So the text explains that the 7th day has no end, symbolizing God's vision for a harmonious cosmos. It is not simply a day of rest, but of the embodiment of creation's ultimate purpose. The 7 days of creation are not just a chronological account, but a theological statement about the setting, about the relationship between the universe and God. The 7th day foreshadows a future where creation aligns with God's will. So it's not just this chronological account, but it's this theological statement about the relationship between God and his universe. It's an unending period. It's this embodiment of creation's purpose to have this future with God, which will be brought up as the story unfolds in Scripture. So the setting, right? Let's talk about setting. The setting for this story is creation. Creation represents a testament to the power and wisdom of God. From the formless void to the teeming diversity of life, all things were brought forth by his word, and at the center of it all, humankind, created in his image, entrusted with the care of his creation. Then we get to the plot. The plot of this part of the story, the action that's going forward, is the formation of the earth. The earth is formless and empty and dark, and it's a state of chaos. But God speaks into the chaos. He doesn't leave the earth in a state of chaos. He speaks into the chaos, and he brings order. He begins the process of creation and bringing order to the formlessness, life to the emptiness, and light to the darkness of the earth. And then we dive into the characters. Okay, in films, action reveals character. So here in Genesis, the divine nature of God is revealed through his actions in creation. He is a God of order and power, transforming chaos into form, emptiness into life, and again, darkness into light through his spoken word. His creative force and ability to bring order to chaos, or order out of chaos, demonstrates his control over the universe and his limitless power. See, God systematically addresses the emptiness and disorder of the earth through the 6 days of creation. We have the first 3 days where God focuses on establishing structure and order, separating light and darkness to create day and night, separating water to form skies and seas, gathering water to reveal dry land, and commanding the earth to bring forth vegetation. And then after getting everything organized and structured, God starts filling up the empty earth with living things in the next 3 days. On day 4, he makes the sun, moon, and stars. They're in charge of the day and the night, and they mark the seasons, the days, and the years. On day 5, God fills the water with tons of living creatures and the skies with birds, and this brings life and movement to areas that were empty before. And then finally, on the 6th day, God creates land animals, and most importantly, humans. Humans are the best part of his creation, and he gives them control over the earth and everything living on it. See, God's immense power and wisdom and kindness are displayed as he transforms chaos into a vibrant, organized world in just 6 days. God is the main character of the story, not just of Genesis, but the whole of creation, the whole of Scripture. God's actions drive the story, but here we're also introduced to the supporting characters in this story, which are humanity. God creates humanity in his likeness with the purpose of embodying and reflecting his nature and presence in the world. See, humanity's role is to act as stewards of God's creation. They're to procreate. They're to build communities that uphold justice and value of all life. The ultimate goal of humanity is to partner with God to govern a world that ultimately reflects his righteousness, his love, his mercy, and his glory. God invites humanity to partner with him here in the beginning. So the story of creation, it emphasizes themes of goodness, purpose, and relationship with God, shaping our understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. Genesis 1 paints this vivid picture of God's creation of the world. It's a cosmos brought forth from a primordial chaos into a state of divine order and goodness. Everything God made was declared good, but humanity was uniquely called very good, which implies both a special status and a responsibility. Humankind is seen as the highest point of creation, given the responsibility to look after the earth and to mirror the image of God. And the upcoming exploration in Genesis' 2nd chapter centers on the trust that is crucial to the basis of this partnership. This vital element of trust is represented symbolically by a tree. It's a symbol that holds deep meaning throughout all of the story. That's where we end today. Let me know in the comments below on YouTube if you're watching what stuck out to you more. Maybe that Genesis 1 reveals to us that God is a God of order who creates good, or that we are created to partner with Him and carry His goodness across the earth. Let me know what you think. Thanks again for joining me as we looked at the beginning of Genesis. We'll be back with another episode next month. If you enjoyed this episode of Cinematic Scripture, like and follow us on YouTube, or leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps others find the show. Thanks again. Have a great week. Until next time, I'm Kyle. This is Cinematic Scripture, exploring the Bible through film.